AITA for bailing on the opening of my sister's restaurant when I told her I would be there? My sister and her husband opened their own restaurant together on Friday. They had wanted to do it for years but started the steps to take the plunge during our first lockdown. This meant a lot to my sister, who always wanted to be a business owner. Months ago, she had asked me to be there opening night with my family. I had promised her faithfully that I would. Our relationship has suffered a lot of late. I have always felt like I do more for her than she does for me, and it boiled over when 2 weeks ago she had asked to borrow some money, promising she would pay it back. I had asked her when she'd pay it back. She told me sometime. I told her it took months to pay me back the last time and that Christmas was coming up soon and this year was tight. She told me she knew and she would pay me back in less than 2 weeks, and that the money was super important for making sure everything went okay opening night, because the deposit on something she had hired had increased without her realizing and she didn't have the money available for it. I told her I wasn't sure if I trusted her to get me the money in 2 weeks. She couldn't believe I would bring up past issues at that moment, told me she was asking her big sister for help, and she would hope I would give it willingly. This made me more angry, and I asked her when had she willingly helped me with anything, when had made a point to prioritize being there for me. She told me I was more stable than her and nothing ever knocked me down. I pointed out my miscarriage at 13 weeks had been devastating to me and that was when I needed support more than ever, but she had been preoccupied with something else. That she had told me after she felt too awkward talking to me. Yet when she had her first child, she had talked non-stop about her fears of losing her baby because I had a couple of years before that. We ended up not speaking, and then the opening of her restaurant came and I didn't show up. She was upset, mad, frustrated with me, and her husband told me she had waited and waited for me, had told other people I would be there and then didn't show. I feel bad, and at the same time, I just don't know if I want to bother anymore. She frustrates me so much. But I love her at the same time. I know I let her down by not being there, and that's why I ask. AITA? Gonna go against the grain and say NTA. It honestly sounds like an exhausting relationship, and showing up to her restaurant opening would have just brought all of your recent arguments back out. I'd also wager that she would have asked you for money again, this time in person. IDK, why people would expect you to turn up when you've had a major disagreement that wasn't resolved, which I don't think can be resolved unless your sister stops asking you for stuff and apologizes for how she handled your miscarriage. You probably just need to go low or no contact with her, because this doesn't sound like a good sibling relationship at all. NTA, if you guys had a falling out weeks ago, it's okay to distance yourself. It sounds like there are deep issues that you guys need to communicate, if you want to. You sis seems very self-centered. You had promised you would be there and you didn't go. Your sister has done the things you describe. You both need to be more aware of the other's feelings and break the cycle of hurting each other.
AITA for expecting my boyfriend to come home to me at the end of the night? I, 27F, and my boyfriend, 28 meters, have been together for 10 years. We have 3 children, a dog and a home together. I'll start off by saying I have absolutely no problems with my boyfriend going out for nights out with his friends, or anything else regarding him going out. However, my problem comes in now that he wants to go on nights out with his friends and not come home. He has told me it is easier for him to stay with his parents or a friend when he goes out. I've told him this makes me uncomfortable and that I don't care where he goes or what time he comes home at, but in my opinion he should be coming home to us and our home at the end of the night. This is not something that he wants to compromise with. He thinks I'm being an asshole for expecting him to get a taxi home to us, his family. In his opinion, this shouldn't be a big deal because everyone does it. So am I the asshole? NTA, he's got responsibilities at home and this behavior seems childish. He's not setting a good example for his kids. NTA, it's one thing if you each had time planned away from home, like he spends a weekend at his parents and you get to spend a weekend with friends. But this sounds more like he leaves you alone to take care of the kids while he parties. At least if he comes home, he can be woken up and put to work at a decent time. NTA also, How frequent are these nights out and how often do you get to do the same? AITA for not forgiving my sister. My sister and I have had a tumultuous relationship for years. When I was pregnant with my son, my counselor suggested a date with my husband's with no phones. We went, and after I saw a text from my sister and responded. But it was a short response. She started railing on me about how I never talk to her anymore, and everyone in the world probably knows if I'm having a boy or girl except her, and she is my sister, so she should know first. My gender ultrasound was the next day, so I didn't even know yet. When I told her this, she called me all kinds of dirty names. I blocked her on everything. This isn't the first time she's done something like this. That night she sent me a long email about how I need to get right with God, and that she is going to call CPS and have my baby taken from me as soon as it is born, and also tell my husband the baby isn't his to split up our marriage. If that didn't work, she would find another way to get my husband to leave me. Now my dad is telling me I need to be the bigger person and apologize for my part in the argument and forgive her for her part. AITA for not wanting to do that? Hell no. You don't need to apologize when your sister is the asshole. You didn't do anything wrong. She did. Also, you might want to show the texts to your husband, just so hard not tricked and blindsided later by whatever she's planning. Also, since it could potentially involve your child, he needs to be put in the loop as well. NTA. It's not your dad's place to tell you what to do in this situation. Your sister sounds like a very unwell person, and you would do well to go LC or NC with her until you have some sort of concrete evidence that she has ceased this sort of behavior. You might choose to forgive her when she stops this sort of behavior and expresses some remorse for the hurt she has caused. Or you might not. Either way, you are NTA.